Number 28, which of the following is not an example of a domestic policy achievement of Lyndon Johnson? A, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. B, creation of an interstate highway system under the National Highway Act. C, Head Start. Or D, the establishment of Medicare and Medicaid under the Great Society. Number 9, the image to the right refers to A, Haight-Ashbury, B, Levittown, C, Woodstock, or D, Watergate. Number 30, an example of de facto segregation would be A, public transportation, B, water fountains, C, communities or neighborhoods, or D, bathrooms. Number 31, the Camp David Accords negotiated during President Jimmy Carter's administration were an attempt to A, decrease United States control of the Panama Canal, B, encourage the use of solar and other non-polluting energy sources, C, end inflationary oil prices, or D, establish peace in the Middle East. Number 32. Which statement is the most accurate about the economy of the United States during the 1970s and early 1800s? A, inflation declined sharply throughout these years. B, the federal budget was balanced. C, the increased cost of imported oil hurt economic growth. D, the number of jobs in farming increased while service jobs decreased. Number 33. The 24th Amendment was passed to eliminate which of the following? A, segregation in all public places. B, Jim Crow laws. C, the right to vote for all African Americans. Or D, graduated income tax. Number 34. The term stagflation is referring to A, the combination of high rates of inflation and high percentage of unemployment. B, the inability of Kennedy to get anything passed in Congress. C, the crisis in the Middle East. D, the treatment of nonviolent protesters during the March on Washington. Number 35. How did the Bay of Pigs invasion affect U.S.-Cuba relations? A, the Cuban government turned to the United States for protection from the Soviet Union. B, Fidel Castro moved closer to the United States when he enacted democratic reforms. C, the Cuban government turned to the Soviet Union for support. D, the United States sent food and medical supplies to thank them for their assistance during the invasion. Number 36. Nixon's Southern strategy illustrated that A, he would strongly enforce civil rights legislation in the South. B, he believed that he could abandon the South and rely on his strong support in the Midwest. C, was willing to delay further civil rights advances to achieve electoral success in the South. Or D, was willing to risk his political career to ensure the unity of all regions of the country. 37. Why were Americans outraged by the Saturday Night Massacre? A, because President Nixon's actions seemed to challenge the Constitution. B, because President Nixon's link to illegal actions were finally revealed by the special prosecutor. C, it involved Soviet soldiers holding Afghan officials for ransom. D, was finally resolved by the resignation of Andrew Young as a U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Number 38. Under New Federalism, President Nixon proposed to A, collect additional federal taxes to fight the Cold War. B, integrate all public schools nationwide. C, shift federal money to states and cities with the idea of revenue sharing. Or D, expand the provisions of the voting rights. Number 39. The presidency of Gerald Ford was different from all previous presidencies because he was the first president who A, won the office by running on a third-party ticket. B, resigned from the office of president. C, ran for office as a nonpartisan candidate. Or D, was not elected to either the presidency or the vice presidency. Number 40. The policy carried out by Nixon that sought to ease Cold War tensions was A, détente, B, OPEC, C, Marshall Plan, or D, brinkmanship. Number 41. Which of the following is not a characteristic of the Iranian hostage crisis? A, Richard Nixon immediately negotiated their release. B, the U.S. Embassy in Iran was captured and Americans taken hostage. C, the hostages were held for 444 days and Carter failed to get them released. D, the event caused much harm to Jimmy Carter's presidency. Number 42. The main significance of the Watergate affair was that A, led to the impeachment and conviction of President Richard Nixon. B, showed that the laws of the United States are superior to the actions of a president. C, was the first time that a president had disagreed with Congress. Or D, proved that the presidential powers are unlimited. Number 43. The Cuban Missile Crisis led to A, the first ever nuclear attack on the United States, B, an embargo being placed on Cuba, C, a decrease in Cold War tensions with the Soviet Union, or D, the United States backing down and allowing the Soviet Union to keep missiles in Cuba. 44. What was the main factor for people like Stokely Carmichael to move away from the nonviolent protest and participate in things such as the Black Power movement? A, Brown versus Board of Ed was successful and they felt they no longer needed to protest. B, Martin Luther King Jr. changed his beliefs and advocated for a more violent approach. C, the state governments were enforcing civil rights legislation. D, Carmichael felt change was moving too slowly and a more radical approach was necessary. Number 45. Which of the following was a core belief of the Black Panther Party? A, nonviolent protest. B, a peaceful integration into society. C, opposition to African Americans being drafted to participate in the Vietnam War. Or D, a positive public image to promote change.